Yeah. Okay. Well, see, the sad thing is we're living in a time now, because of the internet, where a lot of kids are getting misinformation, and that's why it's so important for us to engage with our children, to give them the tools and the skills to be able to understand our culture, to understand our society, and to understand the digital world, and that way it's ultimately going to help them anyway. Here are some reasons anyway. No one talked to you, and that's similar to what you said just before. No one talked to you, so you think, well, maybe that's the way it's supposed to be in a family. I don't necessarily have to talk to my children. Somebody else will take that responsibility on, maybe the church, maybe the school, maybe their friends, maybe the internet. And again, if you have fears or it feels uncomfortable to do it, why would you do it in the first case? Yeah. You lack the skills, the words, and confidence. Maybe you just don't know enough. But really, these days, I suppose as a parent, and my mindset is different because I do this all the time, but if I don't understand something, I'll try and, there's a lot of information on the internet, Google it. Buy some books. So, there's so much information out there that can help you understand. So it gives you the ability then to engage with your children and say, this is what it means. I remember my children, when I first spoke to them about drugs and alcohol, there's nothing worse than a parent just saying drugs and alcohol are bad for you, don't do it. Because if the teen turns around and says, but why? You need that information to be able to engage with them, and that really helps. Well, I can tell you exactly how it works in the brain. And then you go on to this format on how it affects the young brain and how it can really damage you or whatever, and the harms of it, but it gives you that information. So skills can be learned. Skills can be certainly learned. You're embarrassed about the body. Well, yes, that is one reason why, but ultimately we're all human beings. We all have different bodies. Sex is part of none of us would be here without sex. It's part of life. I believe that God created sex, and it's a good thing. Everything He created is good. So sex is just part of who we are. But again, a lot of parents feel ashamed about the body, or they feel that they don't want to mention sex. It's embarrassing, so they just don't engage. You're afraid of appearing hypocritical because of your own sexual activity. And I'm assuming that's something from the past. So what happens is a parent thinks, geez, I wasn't very good as a parent or as a young person, so what gives me the right to be able to speak into my children's lives? But when you think about it, you first take the log out of your own eye, and then you can take out the twig out of your brother's. So if you're not engaging in those type of behaviours now, then of course you can talk to your children. And to be real, it's because of our past experiences, it's because we've actually maybe done a lot of the wrong things that we're able now to use our wisdom and engage with our children and say, look, I made this mistake, this is what happened. I'm sure that my daughter is going to say to Summer, I fell pregnant at 18 years of age. The decisions or the choices I made that changed my whole life, why you ended up living with Nanny and Poppy, because I was very young and I was selfish or whatever. And so Summer will be able to learn from that. So it's because of our previous relationships or our previous and our past experiences, we're able to use those experiences into the now. When you empower a child, when you educate a child on sexuality and what that entails and the complexities of sexuality, that you're empowering, they will make better choices. That's fact. But it's when you prolong it and you think that somehow innocence is going to be better, then difficulties can arise out of that. Now, I'm not saying that you have to feed your child everything and give them everything on the degree, on the levels of sexuality and what that means. What I'm saying is that it's better to educate. It's always better to educate at an appropriate level.